Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping in for something a bit different. We're looking at entrepreneurial theft.
Right. Specifically, scams that are so audacious,
Mm.
so simple sometimes that they kind of make you question everything.
Exactly. We're talking about schemes that, look, they're completely wrong, illegal, all of that, but the creativity, the sheer nerve, it's objectively interesting, like watching a heist movie, maybe.
A good comparison.
Yeah.
But our goal here isn't just to be amazed. We're analysts.
Yeah.
We need to understand how these things happened. What systemic failures did they exploit?
Right. This isn't about admiring the crime. It's about studying the cracks in the system.
And giving you, the listener, a quick, deep understanding of these vulnerabilities. We want you to know this stuff fast but thoroughly.
Okay, so we've gathered some really wild source materials. We've got stories about fake employees popping up on payrolls, a whole corporate headquarters getting its mail rerouted to some guy's apartment.
Oh, that one's amazing.
Isn't it? Then there's like $100 million just vanishing from tech giants because of fake bills.
Simple fake invoices. Incredible.
And finally, we'll touch on a classic urban legend, one that really captures why we're so fascinated by beating the system.
So the mission today is clear. Unpack the audacity, the simplicity, and the, frankly, shocking institutional blindness these cases reveal. What can we learn?
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start small, or well, relatively small, inside a single business, a fast food joint, actually.
Right. Segment 1, the internal blind spot. This takes us to Pennsylvania, to a Wendy's.
And the story of its former manager, Linda Johnson.
Now, Linda Johnson didn't need a, complex cyber attack. Her scheme was pretty straightforward, administratively speaking.
Yeah, she didn't need a mask or a getaway car. She just invented a coworker
Created a ghost employee,
named William Brightite.
which, just pause on that name for a second.
Right. It sounds like something from a terrible corporate training video from the 80s. William Brightite, our star performer.
Exactly. It screams, I exist only on paper. Which was precisely the point, I suppose.
So the police reports say she just manually clocked him in and out.
Right, for 128 shifts.
Yeah.
Using her manager access, she just keyed it in.
So she bypassed any biometric checks or anything fancy, just pure trust in the manager's input.
That seems to be the case. It relies entirely on the assumption that the manager doing the clocking has the authority and is acting legitimately.
And it worked. For a while, anyway. She apparently pocketed about $20,000.
$20,000, which, for one Wendy's location, that's not insignificant.
Definitely not. But what's really fascinating and kind of funny is how she got caught. It's all in the math.
Yeah, the math is the telltale sign here, is how these internal audits often catch things.
So you take $20,000 divided by 128 shifts, assuming, 8-hour shifts?
Let's assume standard shifts, yeah. That puts William Brightite's pay rate at just over $19.50 an hour.
$19.50 an hour. In a fast food place back then.
Exactly. That's the red flag. Reports indicate the typical wage there was somewhere between, say, $13 and $16 an hour.
So Wendy's corporate didn't notice a whole person was missing, but they did notice someone was getting paid too much.
Precisely. That $19.50 figure likely popped up in some central payroll report, some automated audit. The system isn't always looking for headcount discrepancies at the store level, but it is looking for cost outliers. Someone in finance probably went, wait, why are we paying this one person skilled trade wages?
It's brilliant in a way. Her mistake wasn't the ghost, it was giving the ghost a raise.
Right. If she'd kept William Brightite at $13 an hour.
She'd have needed more shifts, maybe 200 or something, to hit the same amount.
But she might have stayed completely under the radar because the cost per hour wouldn't have triggered anything. It would look average.
Wow. The audacity was in the salary, not the existence.
And legally, the charge against her fits perfectly. Theft by deception.
That's got to be the most accurate name for a crime I've ever heard. She lied, she stole. Theft by deception checks out.
It really does highlight that the core of the crime was creating that false narrative that William Brightite was real and working and then profiting because the company relied on that story.
It just shows a big gap, doesn't it, in how they track things. But, the sources mentioned this weird ethical wrinkle.
Oh, yeah?
Some people apparently suggested that because it took Wendy's so long to notice, and presumably Linda was covering the work somehow. Maybe she kind of deserved the money.
Ah, the underpaid and overworked justification. You hear that sometimes. The idea that maybe she felt she was just compensating herself for extra work the system didn't recognize.
Right, like illicit self-paid overtime.
Legally, though, it's just fraud. Plain and simple. The real systemic failure here is probably in the HR to payroll connection. You shouldn't be able to just invent a person in payroll without some independent check.
Ugh,
Like,
yeah.
where's the hiring paperwork? The I-9 form.
Good point. Someone should have cross-referenced. So the lesson is about that internal trust, right? And how easily it can be broken if no one's actually checking.
Exactly. And that internal blind spot becomes painfully obvious once it's exploited.
And the ending to her story is wild, too. After the case started, she disappeared.
Vanished. Authorities actually put out public appeals asking for information on her whereabouts.
So the manager who created a ghost employee became a ghost herself.
A very neat, if troubling, conclusion to that story.
Okay, so from that internal, relatively small-scale fraud, let's pivot hard.
Let's go big. From exploiting trust inside one store to exploiting massive national infrastructure.
With just unbelievable nerve. Welcome to segment 2, audacity and system exploitation.
This one involves UPS, United Parcel Service, global logistics giant, headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. Everyone knows UPS.
Right. Solid, established, huge company. But for a little while, in late 2017 and early 2018, its headquarters were unofficially in Chicago.
In a small apartment, specifically.
Thanks to one Desan Henderson Spruce.
This guy, living in Rogers Park, Chicago, did something incredibly simple. On October 26, 2017, he submitted a change of address form to the U.S. Postal Service.
Just a standard change of address form, like the one you fill out when you move house.
Apparently so. Unauthorized, obviously. But he put UPS's corporate address as the old address and his apartment as the new one.
And the USPS just processed it.
Seems like it. For almost 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah. From late October 2017 into January 2018. All that time, hundreds, maybe thousands of pieces of UPS corporate mail.
Like what kind of mail?
Think about it. Vendor invoices, bank statements, contracts maybe, and crucially, incoming checks.
Payments to UPS.
Checks were getting delivered to this guy's apartment.
Directly to his apartment in Chicago. Substantial sums, according to the reports.
I can't wrap my head around this. How did that happen? You'd think changing the address for UPS headquarters would trigger, like, sirens and flashing lights at the post office.
You would absolutely think so. It takes, well, the words you used before, gall, gumption, absolute confidence that nobody's going to check. It seems so far-fetched that most people wouldn't even dream of trying it. So the failure point here is partly the USPS system, right? How did they not flag this immediately?
That's the huge question. The USPS system is built for volume, speed. Maybe corporate changes weren't treated with enough scrutiny back in 2017. The automated checks clearly failed.
There should have been, I don't know, a requirement for notarized proof, executive sign-off, maybe a call to the Atlanta postmaster, something.
You'd think. It points to a major vulnerability in relying on legacy systems that might not differentiate enough between a regular person moving and a massive corporation supposedly relocating its entire HQ.
Okay, but what about UPS? Their entire business is mail and packages. How did they not notice they weren't getting any mail for 3 months?
That's almost more baffling, isn't it? We're not talking junk mail here. We're talking essential corporate correspondence and checks, revenue.
Yeah. If checks stopped arriving, wouldn't someone in accounting notice? Like, hey, where's the money?
That's where you have to look beyond just the mailroom. The failure must have cascaded. Accounts receivable should have seen cash flow issues. The only way it lasts 3 months is a severe communication breakdown.
Between who? Mailroom, accounting, executives.
Probably all of the above.
Yeah.
Maybe they assumed payment delays. Maybe they thought things were shifting to digital payments faster than they were. Nobody physically checked. Are we getting envelopes delivered today? It suggests a pretty profound level of organizational complacency.
Everyone assuming someone else has it covered. Mailroom thinks accounting knows. Accounting thinks the execs approve some new system. Wow.
And the sources say Spruce wasn't exactly hiding. When the news media finally caught up with him, he was incredibly calm about it.
Oh, I saw that footage. He was so chill. They asked him straight up, did you switch the address?
And his response.
He just says, cool as a cucumber. Those are the allegations. Correct.
Which is just the perfect non-denial denial.
It's the ultimate cop-out. He's basically saying, yes, I acknowledge that you are making that claim.
Yeah.
Without actually admitting anything.
It's masterful composure, honestly. It almost reinforces the idea that he felt untouchable because the method was so basic.
If you manage to hijack UPS's mail with a form, yeah, maybe a TV camera doesn't seem so scary.
And the official response from the USPS, predictably tight-lipped.
They said they can't comment, right?
Standard procedure. which of course led to some fun speculation online.
Like the idea that maybe the USPS, being rivals with UPS, was secretly kind of happy to see this
The
happen.
postal conspiracy theory.
Exactly.
A bit of schadenfreude, perhaps. Let's see how they like their mail getting messed up for a change.
Probably not true, but it's funny. So they eventually fix it.
Yes, USPS corrected the address, and their postal inspectors started investigating. But Spruce wasn't immediately arrested, interestingly enough.
The big takeaway here seems to be that these huge, complex systems, sometimes their biggest weakness is their inability to handle really simple, bold deception.
They're geared for complex problems, maybe, but not for someone just walking up and trying the obvious, audacious lie.
Which actually leads perfectly into our next case. We're scaling up again, big time.
From national infrastructure to global tech giants. And the amounts involved are just staggering.
Segment 3, Simplicity at Scale. Meet Evaldas Rimasauskas, a Lithuanian man.
And his targets: Google and Facebook.
Two of the biggest, most sophisticated companies on the planet. And he scammed them out of how much?
Over $100 million. Sources vary slightly, but figures like $100 million, even up to $122 million recovered, are cited.
$100 million. What complex hack did he use?
That's the kicker. No complex hack. He just sent them fake invoices.
Like what? He just mailed them bills.
Essentially, yes, using emails primarily. It was a form of business email compromise or BEC fraud, but done incredibly well.
And Google and Facebook just paid them.
Maybe pay them without questioning, apparently, for quite a long time.
How is that even possible? Don't they have like entire departments for checking this stuff?
They do. But Rumasauskas was clever. He didn't just send random bills. He posed as a real company.
Ah, okay. Who did he pretend to be?
Quanta Computer. They're a huge, legitimate Taiwanese hardware manufacturer.
And Google and Facebook actually do business with Quanta.
Exactly. Quanta is a known, trusted vendor. They supply massive amounts of hardware, servers, components to both tech giants.
Okay, that makes more sense. So he wasn't cold calling. He was inserting himself into an existing trusted relationship.
Right. He made his fake invoices look like real Quanta invoices, probably used sophisticated email spoofing, made the bank accounts look plausible. He exploited the assumption of legitimacy within that relationship.
But still, $100 million. Shouldn't their finance systems catch that? What about, like, purchase orders, PO numbers?
That's the critical failure point. Ideally, yes. They should have robust PO matching. An invoice comes in and gets matched to an approved internal purchase order for those specific goods or services. No match, no payment.
So what happened?
A few possibilities. Rumasauskas might have gotten hold of legitimate PO numbers somehow. Or, maybe more likely, the invoices were for such large, plausible things, massive server orders, data center parts, that they got fast-tracked.
By who? Overworked accounts payable staff.
Could be. Staff who assume, oh, this is for Project X. The tech team must have approved it. Looks like a real Quanta bill. Got to pay it quick. The sheer volume and speed of payments in companies that size can create gaps.
So the three-way match failed. Matching the PO, the invoice, and the receiving report, proof the stuff actually arrived.
It seems it must have. Clearly, $100 million worth of hardware never showed up, but the payments went out anyway.
That speaks volumes about the scale they operate on, doesn't it? If $10 or $20 million invoices can just slip through like that.
It's almost like it becomes a rounding error in their daily cash flow. Their size, their immense wealth, actually becomes a vulnerability. They're probably looking for, state-sponsored hackers, not necessarily a guy sending fake bills from Lithuania.
It's like leaving your front door unlocked because you're busy installing laser grids in the basement.
That's a great analogy. They missed the simple, obvious threat because they were focused on the complex ones.
And Rimasauskas managed to move the money out.
For a long time, yes. Through various accounts in Cyprus, Latvia, Lithuania, other places, posing as Quanta, setting up shell companies, he really thought he could hide behind that screen halfway across the world.
And he was right. For years, apparently.
Until the sheer amount probably triggered a deeper audit. Eventually, the discrepancies became too big to ignore.
He pleaded guilty in the end, right, to wire fraud.
Yes, wire fraud. Using electronic communications, email, wire transfers to deceive and steal.
But here's the strategic question, the one that always comes up with these guys. Why didn't he stop sooner?
Right.
Like, why not stop at $10 million? That's life-changing money. Disappear, live comfortably. Why push it to over $100 million?
Greed, maybe. Overconfidence. That extra zero makes a huge difference. 10 million might eventually get written off or lost in the noise. 100 million. That guarantees a massive investigation. Forensic accountants, international cooperation.
He flew too close to the sun.
Pretty much. The simple mechanism couldn't withstand that level of scrutiny. His lack of restraint was his downfall. A crucial lesson in criminal enterprise. Know when to quit.
Definitely a cautionary tale. Okay, so we've seen internal fraud, infrastructure hijacking, massive corporate billing scams, all real.
Verifiable cases, court records, the whole deal.
Now, for our last segment, let's step into the realm of myth, but a myth that tells us a lot about why we find these stories so compelling.
Ah, yes. Segment 4, The Power of Myth. We're talking about the legend of the Bristol Zoo parking attendant.
This is a classic. You've probably heard some version of it. The story goes.
For about 25 years, this one guy shows up every single day to the car park at the Bristol Zoo in England.
Rain or shine. Wears a high-vis jacket, probably. Looks official.
And he collects parking fees, like £1 or maybe $1.40 for a car, maybe £7 or $7 for a bus. Friendly, efficient, everyone knows him.
And then one day, poof, he doesn't show up.
Right. He just retires, maybe. And suddenly, chaos at the zoo parking lot. Cars everywhere, no one directing traffic.
So the zoo management panics. Right. We need to hire a replacement. They call the city council, assuming the attendant worked for them.
And the council says, no, we thought he worked for you, the zoo.
And back and forth they go, until the horrifying, brilliant realization dawns.
Neither of them ever employed him. He was never on anyone's payroll.
For 25 years, he was basically a self-employed entrepreneur running a business on their land without permission.
And making a killing, according to the legend. The sources estimate if he took in around $560 a day.
7 days a week. For 25 years.
That comes out to just over, wait for it, $7 million.
$7 million. Tax-free, presumably.
Just for showing up and waving cars into spots.
Yeah.
The legend usually ends with him having retired to a lovely villa somewhere warm. Spain, Italy, take your pick.
It's the ultimate dream, isn't it? It's like the Wendy's story, but he wasn't stealing from the system. He was just operating alongside it, providing a service they needed but didn't provide themselves.
That's the appeal. The zoo and the council were, in a way, depending on him. They relied on him to solve their parking problem, even without knowing he wasn't official.
It just plays right into that feeling that big organizations are kind of clueless, and all you need is consistency and a bit of nerve. No hacking skills required, just attendance.
It's incredibly resonant, which is why we have to do the responsible thing and bring in the reality check.
Okay. Here it comes. It's not true, is it?
According to fact-checkers like Snopes, no. The Bristol Zoo parking attendant story is a classic urban legend. Pure fiction.
I knew it was too good to be true. But why does it persist? Why do people want to believe it?
Because it's a fantastic story. It's less about a smart scam and more a testament to a good narrative. It taps into that universal fantasy of, beating the bureaucracy, finding a simple loophole, and achieving financial freedom through sheer unauthorized gumption.
We admire the little guy sticking it to the man, even if the man is just vaguely incompetent municipal parking oversight.
Exactly. We're drawn to the idea of effortless success against a faceless institution. Whether it's real, like Rimasaska's scamming Google, or mythical, like this parking attendant, the underlying fascination is similar. They exploit the gaps.
Which brings us nicely to wrapping up. Let's distill the key takeaways for you, the listener. Looking across these 4 stories, real and mythical, what are the common threads?
Well, first, I think it's audacity. Just the sheer nerve.
Yeah. Who thinks to change UPS's address? Who dares to bill Facebook for millions they don't owe? You have to be willing to try the completely unexpected thing.
Second, simplicity. Often, the simplest methods work best. Fake invoices beat complex security, manual clock-ins beat fancy software, a paper form beat corporate logistics.
They were looking the other way, focused on complex threats, and missed the simple punch.
Exactly. And third, underpinning it all, the exploitation of institutional blind spots. Call it complacency, call it fragmented systems, call it too much assumed trust.
Right. HR not talking to payroll at Wendy's. Accounts receivable not doing the 3-way match at Google. No one physically checking the parking lot at the mythical zoo. These large organizations have crack.
And these stories show exactly where those cracks can be.
So the analysis here should definitely make you think, maybe a little nervously, about the organizations you interact with or even work for. We kind of admire the stammer's nerve, maybe.
We find it fascinating, certainly.
But what does the vulnerability of these huge, sophisticated companies, Google, Facebook, UPS, tell you about the systems we all rely on every day? Are they really as robust as we think?
And maybe a final provocative thought to leave you with, inspired by that Bristol Zoo myth and even the Wendy's case. If someone, unauthorized, consistently provides a necessary service for decades like the parking attendant, a service the organization itself fails to manage, where is the ethical line?
Ooh, tricky.
Did the organization, through its own long-term negligence, implicitly authorize it? Or even, dare I say, deserve the financial loss because they weren't minding the store? What really stands out to you when you think about that dynamic?
Definitely something to mull over, maybe while checking your own company's expense reports, just in case.
Couldn't hurt.
Yeah. All right, thanks for diving deep with us today on these insane scams. Fascinating stuff.
Always is.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.